They're all saving one, or most of the Hampshire fielders are saving one. Somerset need one run. It's Edwards to Hildreth. He's there and bowls Hildreth, and he gets the run away through the onside, and Somerset have won. They've won the Royal London One Day Cup.
Hello everyone, you're listening to Always Look on the Bright Side of Life. This is the Somerset Cricket Podcast. My name's Ian Shepherd, and joining me this evening I've got Steve Tancock, Dan Kingdom, and the voice of cricket on BBC Radio Somerset, Anthony Gibson. It's been a little while since we got together. Guys, how are we all doing? Happy New Year, Steve. Not seen you since before
Happy New Year, everyone.
How's things up there in the wet and windy northeast? And what have you made of everything that's been going on in the last few months?
It was miserable and cold at Anfield last night, Ian, in lots of ways. It was not a pleasant evening. It's not been too bad today.
Okay, we started talking about football, so that's one strike, Steve. We'll get back to you in a minute. Dan, how are things with you? Social justice warrior? Fight the power. Justice for interns.
Well, yeah, it was pretty mad 24 hours, that was. But no, I mean, it all came about because Adam Collins tweeted about it and sort of put it back in my mind. And I thought, yeah, let's try and take it a bit further. And I'm just delighted that, via all the likes and retweets on Twitter as well, it wasn't just down to me. It was all everyone piled on, basically. And we managed to get them to change their policy. It's only minimum wage, but it's better than nothing. And it's a step in the right direction. So, I'm really glad we could change things.
I mean, I had a letter through today saying my membership's gone up as a result of this. Did you get that as well, Steve? I don't know, yeah. If the price of cider, we're going up to £8 a pint. Thanks, Dan. Cheers for that. And Anthony, have you recovered after seeing Mr. Hurry's favourite word embossed in black and white in the Cricketer this month?
No, it's not just him. It's not just him. The bloody word "learnings" is taking over the world. It's lessons is the word. Lessons. You learn lessons.
I looked it up in the online dictionary, Gibbo. It's there. Learnings is an optional extra. What am I trying to say? What's synonym?
Alternative.
Synonym.
That's good word.
Yeah. See, the opposite of a synonym is an antonym. And you've got a homonym. That's one that sounds like a word. And I've forgotten everything else. We've gone off on a bit of a tangent, but I'm going to encourage Sarge, if I do see him down at the ground this year, Anthony, to be very effluent with use of the word learnings in any post-match interviews.
By the first time he interviews Sarge after the day, he'd say, "So, Sarge, what learnings do you take out of today?" and see what response he gets.
Exactly. I was just about to say that. The first batting collapse of the summer, which probably won't be long delayed. I shall ask him, what learnings did you take from that then, Mr. Hurry?
Yes, well, don't bloody tempt fate, Anthony. I think what you meant to say was, after we score 700 against Hampshire on days 1 and 2 down at the Rose Bowl, and then skittle them out for 45 and 72 and win by an innings and plenty in 2.5 days, what learnings did you take from that, Mr. Hurry? That will be some bloody good ones. Yeah, that's not long away, far long away now, is it? The old first game of the season. Before that, though, fellas are out in Abu Dhabi. It's all right for some, having a bit of a winter training session there. They've got games against Essex. I think they've got a 3-dayer and a couple of T20s. Does anybody know when exactly they are? I presume they'll be in the next couple of days.
I don't know.
I would imagine they'd be one over the weekend just for logical reasons and logistical reasons. I can't imagine they're over there for more than 2 weeks. So, yeah, it must be.
I saw Essex had an intra-squad game today, Cook's 11 against somebody else's 11, but our lads seem to be in the gym, in the nets, or around the pool at the moment. So I saw Roloff, I saw you pick that up on Twitter as well, Roloff playing a Roloff shot. It looked like a ramp, but he looked like he had his back a bit too vertical. And it looked
the
like
wrong way round.
He looked like he was kind of playing a forehand smash with it. But who are we to...
My takeaway so far was that video with Will Smead doing weights, and it looks like he's even more stacked than he was at the end of last season. So he's clearly spent most of his time when he's not been smashing runs in the PSL.
That was 2 tickets to the gun show. Will Smead.
Well, it was, wasn't it?
Serious gunnage.
Seriously. Yeah.
Shall we have a little talk about Will Smead? Because he's become a bit of a sensation over the winter. 2 knocks of 90 in the PSL. Probably should have got to hundreds for both of them. The run rate pressure, I think, was not allowing him just to knock. He got a long up and a full toss, didn't he? When he was on 97 and 99 respectively. But he's becoming a bit of a hot property. But is he the answer to our 4-day batting woes?
Not according to Jim Troughton, who I had lunch with the other day.
Oh, names up there, Anthony.
Yeah, well, he spoke at the West of England Cricket Society. It was very, very good, actually. Yeah. And my job with the West of England Cricket Society is to take the speaker out to lunch beforehand. Tough job, but someone's got to do it. So I was doing my best to extract some useful information. But I did say, why isn't Will Smeed playing red ball cricket? And he said, well, the trouble is his technique doesn't suit it. He takes a leg stump guard, and his instincts are all going after the ball, which on a flat track with a white ball is absolutely great. He's a very talented striker of the ball. But, he himself, Will Smeed, and he said this as well last season, doesn't feel that he's really equipped to play red ball cricket against the moving ball. And I'm awfully afraid he's going to be lost to red ball cricket and will end up plying his trade as a white ball mercenary around the world, which would be great for the people. We get the opportunity to watch him, including us here in Somerset. But you would have thought that anyone with that amount of natural talent, and I know people who've been involved in coaching Will from when he was in short trousers, and they all say he's just about the most talented young batsman they have seen. And it just seems to me to be a failure of coaching as much as anything, that he can't be coached to apply that huge amount of natural talent to red ball cricket, rather than just the hit and giggle stuff. But
when he came into the side and got that 80 odd against Gloucestershire in the T20 a couple of years ago, then we were all saying, yeah, but he's a red ball player. We all thought he was going to be a red ball player. So I don't understand how he's gone through all the age groups being earmarked as a red ball player, had one hit in a T20 and suddenly become a white ball player. And, I'm astonished, because what I was going to say when I saw you put it on the agenda is I really hope he gets his chance of red ball cricket this year. Unless, of course, the batting coach is just doing take the pressure off.
We haven't got a batting coach.
All right, Jim Troughton then is taking.
Well, he's with Surrey.
All right,
okay. Surrey. We haven't got a batting coach. And what Jim also said was, Will, in the seconds at the start of last season, did play quite a few red ball games and didn't get any runs.
Yep.
And I don't know. I think it's really, really sad. It's a great shame that a really good coach can't take him in hand and teach him, a good defensive technique. Defence is the foundation of all batsmanship, and make him the fully rounded cricketer that he ought to be, instead of what I fear is going to be. He's going to turn out to be a one-dimensional cricketer, and a very good one at that. In the mould of Joss Butler. Probably, that good, but it's just a shame, because, to me, proper cricket is red ball cricket. I enjoy the white ball stuff. It's entertaining. It brings the crowds in, but the cricket that really matters, that has the subtlety, all of the different facets to it, is proper red ball cricket, and that's where he should be plying his trade as well as with the white ball.
I just wonder, did COVID back in 2020, did that, because we didn't play any second team cricket in 2020, and that's when Will would have been at that right age to come in and play a full season of second 11 cricket, with the view to possibly getting a game or two at the end of the season if circumstances allowed it. Then where do we go into 2021? As you say, played a few red ball games, but he kind of gone on and had his debut and played a few T20 games at the end of 2020. And I just think that had circumstances been different and he'd got into some higher quality red ball cricket at a bit of a younger age, albeit only a year, maybe things would have turned out differently for him. But I'm just wondering now, I'm not saying necessarily it's too late. I mean, kid's only, 19, 20, but if he's got this great path in front of him in white ball cricket, that's where all the big bucks are. Why would you bother?
Yeah, quite.
Why would you bother?
I think he's very ambitious, though. I don't think he'll have given up on red ball cricket. He just needs to find, as we were just discussing, he needs to find a technique for it and score some runs in the second 11 and then go from there. But the problem is as well that the formats are so diverse these days. There aren't many international players who really succeed in both formats. There are a few, but they're like the real the best players. Like Kane Williamson and Steve Smith. I mean, Steve Smith's not actually that good at T20 cricket, but Rohit Sharma.
I'd have him.
Steve Smith? No, we don't want him in T20 cricket. He's maybe.
What about Virat Kohli then? Virat Kohli.
Yeah, is he good enough, Dan?
All of the ones you're mentioning, with the exception of Steve Smith, have a really good basic technique.
Yes.
They are really good conventional cricketers with their games founded on all of the the principles of batsmanship, and they have grafted onto that their white ball skills. The coming generation of cricketers is the other way around. At Millfield or Kings, what they practice in the nets isn't it's the lap and the reverse sweep and power hitting and all of that. And as you said, Ian, the big money in cricket is in white ball cricket, and you're only paying 20 overs a side. You're not grinding it out over 4 days on a cold day at Northampton or somewhere in front of 2 men and
other grounds are available.
And it's the game has sort of turned on its head, and the youngsters now coming into the game, by and large, the young batsmen, they want to play white ball cricket. They want to slog it. They want to power hit. And that's where the money is. That's where the glory is, and why not do it? Can't blame them.
Totally agree, Anthony, about your point about technique. You watch any of the shots, the laps, the ramps, the reverses, they're all based on the fundamentals of balance, keeping your head and eyes level, watching the ball. Just slightly elaborating on the is Will Smeed the answer to our batting woes. I think we can agree, not yet. Possibly, but not yet. Few questions have come in about, and this is we always love talking about this one. What is our side for the first game of the season? I've got. Did we discuss this last? I think I've got my 8 locked in, 8 or 9 locked in. There's 3, 4, and 5. 4, 5, and 6 for me. No, 4 and 5. I'll start again. 4 and 5 for me are the 2 spots up for grabs.
And 12, as with most of your teams, usually have 12 in.
Okay, all right. Yes, well, you have to pick a squad and see what the picture's like on the day, Steve. But Steve, what do you think then? Presumably you can work out who my gaps are at 4 and 5 and who my 9 shoe-ins are.
Well, I've got a top 4, which goes Renshaw, Lammers, Abel, Hildy. Mm-hmm. Because I'm not giving up on Hildy. Until Hildy gives up on us, I'm not giving up on Hildy. I'm reading the runes and batting Lewis Gregory at 6.
Yeah.
Which I suppose puts his Christian namesake in at 5. Thinking about it. Davis 7, Crago 8, then Davies, Siddle, and of course I'd put Jack Leach in, but of course we're talking about a wet Southampton. You're then looking at the Merchant of Menace probably, or someone slotting in there. I know, I wouldn't. But
I can't play with Siddle and Renshaw, remember?
No, of course you can't. No. So, yeah, it's that last seam bowling slot that's the interesting one for me.
I play Leach every day of the week.
I would.
Leach, balanced attack. Yeah. I agree with. I mean, exactly the same. I think Davis is too low at 7. You're wasting one of our.
But you can easily flip him and Lewis, can't you?
I think Lewis Gregory, all right, he topped the averages last season by some margin, but he hasn't really proved himself as a mainstream batsman. Whereas Steve Davis has got the record to prove it. I think number 5 is the big question, isn't it? Mm-hmm. As to whether you go for Lewis Goldsworthy. There's a case to be made for George Bartlett. I'd like to see them try James Rue. One thing I did manage to get out of Jim Troughton, I asked him which of the young Somerset batters he thought were most likely to make it, really become top class cricketers. And he said Tom Lammonby, Lewis Goldsworthy, and James Rue. And I think James Rue did well out in the under 19. Mm-hmm. He's a very talented cricketer. I think Lewis Goldsworthy deserves a chance, but last season he averaged 21.2. And he looks good, but he hasn't produced the goods yet. And if he doesn't produce the goods in these early games, and Somerset have got a horrendous start to the season in the county championship. Hampshire away, Essex at home, Surrey away, Warwickshire at home, and then Gloucestershire away. And I think Gloucestershire, I've said this before, I think they're going to be the dark horses. They're going to be a real threat in the championship this year. We've got to get off to a fast start. And the young batters have got to score some runs. And let's hope that Renshaw is in the sort of form that he was back in 2018 when he averaged 50. But a bit like Tom Lammonby, he does give the bowlers a chance outside the off stump. And I bet Kyle Abbott and Mohammed Abbas will be rubbing their hands if Hampshire win the toss on April the 7th and put Somerset in. Could be
but don't forget,
reverse of what happened last year.
That he got runs early in the season, the year he was with us.
He did, but he was always giving the bowlers a chance outside the off stump. He was caught with second slip, I don't know how many times. And I mean, that innings against Yorkshire, when he got the 100 and he got off the mark with a 6 and he reached 50 with a 6 and he reached 100 with a 6. I mean, it was a fantastic innings. But he said it himself, that it was doing so much that he thought he might just as well go out and have fun while it lasted.
That's 2018, Matt Renshaw. And again, you can't tell anything from watching him play in the Big Bash over the winter, but you listen to the commentators. And I think he's quite highly regarded in all formats of cricket in Australia now. So he's clearly developed in that time.
That's so true. I mean,
I've got a huge amount. I was so excited when he was coming back because, it's almost like I've almost got my Devon Conway wish, but I've got the next best thing sort of things.
They say he's calmed. If they say he's calmed down a bit as well, he isn't quite so manic in the.
Yeah, that's what Sarge said at the members' day. He's not quite bouncing
that's
off
his
the walls like
learnings
he used. Yes, his learnings over the past few years. So, what about you then, Dan? Who's in and who's out of the DK 11?
It is difficult. I have thought about it. I'm going to talk about some of the questions that I think Somerset are probably going to be working on over the next few weeks and during the pre-season friendlies. The first one is the balance of the side. So are we going to go in with 4 bowlers with Abel as the 5th bowler or 5 bowlers with Abel as the 6th bowler? Because we sort of tried both at times last season. We might sort of have to go towards having 5 bowlers if Gregory's still got these injury problems. Obviously, he wasn't quite at full pelt in the PSL. So he's maybe still working his way back. So it might be that we have to play Gregory at 7 rather than at 8, which was what we often did last season. Another question is whether Renshaw is going to open or bat in the middle order, because while I think we all sort of envisage him opening, he hasn't been opening in the Sheffield Shield. The last couple of games he's batted at 3, and then prior to that this season he's batted at 4 or 5. So I'm not sure of it. I mean, the opening spot is where there's an obvious vacancy. So that's presumably where he'll bat. But if he might be more comfortable in the middle order, but then that potentially overall weakens the lineup. Because I think all of our players are better in the middle order, near enough. So then it just comes down to the lineup itself. So for me, it's Lammonby, Abel, Renshaw, Davis. They're all certain starters. And then it's 2 or 3 remaining batting slots, where we've got the choice of Hildreth, Bartlett, Banton, Goldsworthy, Green, and Smeed. Although I think Smeed's probably unlikely, as we were discussing, and also Thomas and Rue, but I think they're unlikely to start. So I guess it's Hildreth, Bartlett, Banton, Goldsworthy, Green, 2 or 3 of them. And I think it's going to come down to pre-season. Who scores the most runs in pre-season? Who's looking good? And then they'll probably go from there. I want to see Bartlett score runs this season. He obviously regressed a bit last season. I'd love to see him get back to scoring heavy runs again, because I think we all know he's got potential. He scored a few centuries for us. He scored centuries against Broad, and one game was against Broad at Trent Bridge. There was another game against Jimmy Anderson at Old Trafford, against Morning Walker at Guildford. Bartlett is a player who I think has got a long-term future in the side. So
can I just say, Dan, that I've seen him make hundreds 3 times. I saw the 100 at Old Trafford and the one at Trent Bridge. So if he wants to pay for me to go to those games early in the season, I'm more than happy to accept the payment.
Yes, please.
He got a brilliant 100 against Gloucestershire as well back in 2020.
He did,
on a really difficult pitch when nobody else could get any runs at all, and George Bartlett made it look the easiest thing in the world.
Yeah, I watched that one through the gates for part of it, so I'll count that one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the Royal London 100 against Leicester, was it? Him and George Thomas put on that big partnership as well. He was struggling for form, sort of the few games before that, but he just went out and he looked $1 million in that game. So
he averaged 24.86 last season.
But he's another one who, and Anthony, you mentioned it so much on commentary last year. He seemed not to know which guard he wanted to take, and he was batting in all these weird configurations. And again, he has got the technique. He's the flip side of Will Smeed. But it seems that they've met. I don't want to blame anyone, but somebody has clearly got into his head and told him to change the technique that was working back in previous seasons.
I think he's trying.
Well, I don't think it wasn't Jim Troughton. He was wedded to the off-stump guard before Jim. I don't think Jim had a huge amount of influence anyway on the first team players. He was more concerned with the second team. It does worry me that we don't actually have a batting coach.
Not yet.
On the street. Not yet. What was this raised at the members' meeting?
No, I don't think there was a Q&A. I know we advertised one. Just quickly going back to George Bartlett, I can't remember if I said this on the last podcast or not, but at the members' day, he kind of went on the mic while he was in the nets, and all the sort of the members were up on the balcony watching. He said he was just trying to get his trigger in a bit earlier, because I think in sort of May, June, he went through a period of being out about 5 times in a row, leaving straight balls. LBW all bowled. So I think he's kind of on the move, not really knowing where his off stump is. So he's sort of consciously working on that. So I think he may be trying to undo.
But the whole point of taking the off stump card is that you know where your off stump is. That's the explanation for it.
I don't know. Well, they all take about 4 guards these days anyway. Don't you watch them when they come in the test match? They take one on middle and they scrape that. Then they take one on leg and then they scrape that. And then scrape another one in the middle. Then scrape one a bit forward and one a bit back. Groundsman's nightmare. My 2 penneth on that is I'm purely going for. Again, I'm assuming that Renshaw's going to open. Oh no. Sorry, Crago's just had a big LBW shout. I've got the cricket on I've got the test match on my iPad. I think he just squirted off the inside edge. What was I talking about? Oh, my 2 spots. Yeah, my so I'm assuming that Renshaw's going to open. I think we needed to sign an opener, so I presume that he's going to open. And then for me, it's just who looks, not necessarily who scores the most runs in pre-season, but who looks the best in pre-season to go into those slots at 4 and 5. I'd love it to be Hildy, but I think if you're a batter and your currency is runs, and if you ain't making the runs, I don't think anybody should be an automatic pick in the side. You have to. You absolutely have to look at the record that a player's had over the years, and then you kind of have to balance it with what form are they in at the moment? What form have they been in the last few years? What's my realistic expectation from this player going forward? And I hope to God that Hildy caps a career off this year with a county championship winners medal, and another one the season after that, and another one the season after that. But if it's not to be, it's not to be. Marcus didn't have a fairy tale ending. Sometimes these things don't work out in sport like that. But I would love.
Hildy's a lot younger than Banger. But
yeah,
you know, I can't imagine that he would be carrying on unless he thought that he's still got it in him.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he's had 3 dismal seasons, but he must believe in his own heart of hearts, because he doesn't need to play cricket. You know, he's got an alternative, very good career. He must believe in his heart of hearts that he's still got it in it. He can still do it. Otherwise, you know, he might just have got packed it in. So yeah, I have certainly start off with Hildy, but if he doesn't score the runs, then yeah, as with Trescothick back in 2019, you know, it doesn't matter who they are. If they're not performing, they've got to go.
Yeah. Well, let's hope Hildy's career finishes lifting the county championship trophy rather than being a sub and then 10 minutes later watching Ryan Tenderscarter lift it before he gets on the phone to the ECB to report our pitch. Oh, where's Dan gone? We've got the team's avatar in place of Dan. Maybe he's just nipped to the toilet for a minute. What else have we got at the moment then? Peter Trigo is on his way back to Taunton in an ambassadorial role. I think he's going to be doing a bit of commentary on the live stream. I know he hosted the evening with Rory Bremner a few weeks ago, so it'll be great to see Triggs back in and around Taunton in between his stints on the golf course. Now, you might not know this, but I have got an exclusive. I don't think this has been...
Well, obviously, if it's an exclusive, obviously we wouldn't know it by definition. Well, go on.
This has been... this was... Dan, you've just cocked the stream up.
Oh, sorry.
By turning your camera off and turning it back on again. I think I've gone really... right, I will leave it. It'll sort itself out.
Away.
Anyway, Dan, did you hear about my exclusive news?
Well, I haven't heard what you said.
I have some exclusive news about an event coming to Taunton in June. Everybody's favourite state-the-obvious commentator. There will be an evening with Graham Swan in the county sometime in June. Yeah, I got it. I got the email through from the people that organised.
How much are they paying us to have a ticket?
I don't know. I honestly don't know, but
sorry.
Yeah, so I thought, well, maybe not, because I just couldn't sit there with Graham Swan going, now I'm putting my fork into my peas and I'm eating my peas and putting them in my mouth. Someone is walking over there. See, what I'm doing is he does state the obvious when he goes on commentary. I'll leave the stand-up comedy to other people. So if you want to go and indulge Graham Swan's ego for a night in June, I'm sure details will be released about that soon. Right, shall we get on to the main business then? England, Craig and Jack currently in the West Indies. Craig got a second ball duck today. Jack was cruelly robbed of a century by Johnny Bairstow playing a very injudicious shot when Jack was just set, having precisely guided one between slip and keeper. The score currently, England are 142 for 4. Mark Woods bowling at the West Indies 142 for 4, 169 behind Mark Woods bowling at the moment. But where do we see Craig and Jack's long-term England future then? Obviously we've had the hoo-ha about Broad and Anderson not being selected for this tour. That's done and dusted. Now personally I think it was a mistake. I think that England side need to get winning games soon, and leaving out your 2 best ever bowlers is that the right way to do it? I don't know. They talk about the red ball reset, blah, 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 blah. But yeah, Craig and Jack, do we think we'll see much of them this summer?
Yeah, I do. Well, certainly in the first half of the season, because there isn't any international cricket until June
Test game.
June, isn't it?
Yeah.
So we'll have them for those first 6 very absolutely vital county championship games. Their long term, I don't know. I mean, I was asked this on Radio Bristol just now, and they're both still, I think, in the category of sort of on the fringe of the England setup. Joe Root doesn't rate Jack Leach. You can tell that again by the fields he set today. He just wants Jack Leach to hold up one end and not get smashed around. And Craig Overton, I mean, he's a wonderful, wonderful bowler on early season county championship wickets here. He doesn't offer quite so much on the sort of pitch they're playing in Antigua at the moment. I was watching Wokes didn't bowl very well, but Wokes was getting it to swing. and Craig wasn't really. You know, he was running in, he was bowling 80 miles an hour, he was hitting the pitch, they were going through nicely, but yeah, he didn't. It would be very hard to say that Craig Overton is a better bowler than Stuart Broad or Jimmy Anderson, you know, or Mark Wood, for that matter. But I think you could argue that he's a better bowler now than Chris Woakes. Whether he's a better bowler than Ollie Robinson, I think the jury's out on that. Robinson, again, on his day, can be very, very effective. But he isn't the fittest, he isn't the most popular, and he's not the most consistent.
Not the most popular? I've not heard that one before, Anthony. You know something we don't?
Well, just ask them up at Yorkshire.
Fair enough.
About his departure, and but yeah, he's a good bowler. But I wouldn't have said there was much between Chris Woakes, Ollie Robinson, and Craig Overton. And if Craig has a good tour in the West Indies, he could put himself ahead of those two.
Yeah, I agree with that. He's just bowling at the moment. Just knocks that one off his pads there, Holder.
I wonder whether this summer...
I'm commentating. I'm living the dream. I'm living the dream. Sorry, Dan, go on.
I wonder whether this summer there'll be less tight bubbles. So hopefully, if Craig is in a test squad but is not picked for the actual match, hopefully he'll be allowed to return to us and play. Because obviously last year there was the farcical situation with Craig and Leach both pointlessly missed a couple of championship games because they were in the New Zealand, the squad for the New Zealand Test series, and then similar happened in the India series as well, didn't it? So hopefully they'll be allowed to come back to play for us, because I can't see them being regulars, and especially they sort of like to rotate their bowlers, the pace bowlers in particular. So I think Craig will play some tests this summer, but hopefully not so many that he misses lots of games for us. And also another factor is the fact that just the New Zealand Test series is on during the blast, isn't it? So it might be that actually championship games end up, and also the South Africa series is kind of during the 100, so hopefully he won't miss too much championship in for England as well. It might be the other formats which he's less important in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought the South African series goes on into September though, doesn't it?
It does, I think. Yeah, I think it's partly partly after it.
Yeah, but I mean, if he's in the it worried me that if he's in the England setup for the South Africa series, we won't see him really in the run into the county championship, not until probably the last game or the last couple of games.
I will have won it.
He is so important. You know, he is so important to as the leader of the attack at Somerset, especially if Gregory isn't fully fit, which I fear may be the case.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why we need to get, as we were saying earlier, off to a good start while we've got Craig available and Gregory available and Leach available. Get some wins on the board early, so we can sort of get a bit of a buffer for later.
Absolutely,
for our inevitable September to forget. History won't repeat itself. I'm sure history will not repeat itself. Dan, what's your favourite cheese? We're just doing listeners' questions now.
Yeah, so my favourite cheese, I don't really have a single favourite. I have different cheeses for different situations, really. Bit of cheddar, double Gloucester, like brie, that's quite nice. I like Jarlsberg.
You're not allowed to like Gloucester, by the way, Dan.
Double Gloucester!
Red Leicester's quite nice.
Yeah,
I don't have a clear favourite, but cheddar's pretty soft.
That was our first listener's question of the week. That was from Dan's friend Joe, who... possibly tongue-in-cheek. Right, should we go through a few more listeners' questions then? John Hayes, which overseas player, De Lange, Siddle or Renshaw, is going to have the biggest impact?
In what?
In cricket.
Well, my hopes are pinned on Peter Siddle.
Yeah.
He did really well. He may be 37, but he did really well for Essex, and fit as a flea. He'll come charging in. I think Renshaw. I hope I hope Steve is right, and Matt Renshaw is scores really good runs at the top of the order. That would make a big difference. But my feeling is that Siddle is the one. I think my contacts in Essex are not best pleased. These left Essex, and
you can say Don Topley if you want, Anthony.
Exactly, and one or two others as well.
Can I just say, Dan, I have a new social media campaign for you, though, in reference to Peter Siddle. If you look at his Twitter bio, because I've just flicked it up to check it, former Australian and Victorian cricketer, currently playing for Tasmania Tigers, Adelaide Strikers, Essex Eagles.
Ooh.
So
He
I
hasn't
think
played a match for us yet.
you heard it here first, listeners. Can we all start tweeting at Peter Siddle 403 and ask him politely to read Viv Richards' tweet from yesterday and do something similar? I shall be on it as soon as we finish recording.
I will say. I think Peter Siddle will have a good season, but in terms of impact, how can I say this? If he has an impact as a seam bowler, i.e. outperforms our already pretty good seam bowling department, then I think there's going to be a problem. Do you kind of get what I'm saying? Is we have got our seam bowlers are so stacked that you would expect them to kind of more or less complement each other. One of them will take the odd five for every now and again, but if one of them is standing out, it kind of means that the others aren't performing well. Do you get? Am I making sense? No, I'm not making sense.
I think he's going to be a real influence on and off the field. I think he's effectively going to be like the bowling captain, if you can have such a thing.
Yeah.
I mean, as you know, I love watching the Big Bash. It sort of fits in with my work life balance, and I was really impressed with him. You know, even before I had my Somerset spectacles on, watching him, and that news broke. He led Adelaide Strikers really well. He's a very clever cricketer, and I think I think all the bowlers will benefit from having him there. And I suspect part of the deal is that he is going to be somebody who's going to be really involved with the younger bowlers coming through. You know, I think it's when I first saw it, I thought, ex-Essex player. I'm not sure if I'm that happy with that because of my dreadful prejudices I have in that direction. And then I was like, no, this is a really good signing. You know, I've said to you on this before, the old saying that I adapted from baseball: if you think you've got enough seam bowlers, sign another one. You couldn't have done much better. And considering what 6 weeks ago we were all going, where are the signings? What's going on? I think they've done okay.
Yeah, no domestic signings coming in, but then is there anybody that I know you're a big Jake Libby fan, Steve? You'd love to have him but he's down at Taunton, but realistically speaking, there's no apart from sort of your England players, your Joe Roots, those type of players. There's nobody that we need really, I suppose.
No, you've got to give your young players who've come through the pathway a chance to show what they can do. I mean, you know, imagine what it would do to James Root, feeling of self-worth if Somerset were to sign a mediocre type batsman from another county. You know, we've invested a hell of a lot in our young cricketers, and we need to give them the chance to show what they can do. Otherwise, they'll go. There are plenty of other places that they can go. I see Van Meekeren's is signed up for Gloucestershire. Not that I would put him, you know, he didn't come up through the pathway, but lovely bloke. But, you know, Will Smead, I can see heading off to Birmingham direction, and Tom Banton, you know, who knows where he's going to. We've invested so much that we need to give them the chance to show what they can do. And that goes for the bowlers as well, the Sonny Bakers and Ned Leonards and Casey Aldridges as well.
Absolutely.
And if you look through the signings, you know, the ins and outs that I saw a couple of days ago, I went through that and I thought there was maybe one or two. I thought he might have been worth a punt. Finn Hudson-Prentice's name that always sticks out to me is maybe, I think he's gone to Sussex from Derbyshire, Dan, is that right?
That's right, yeah.
There weren't many there, and, you know, we said this on the pod last year, who was out there to sign? You know, and unless I do succeed in kidnapping Jake Libby when I drive past Worcester next time, you know, who are we going to sign that's actually going to make the side better? You mentioned Sam Northeast, Anthony, when he was moving around.
No, we don't want
to. Exactly. my view is that I'd rather see Rue or Thomas or Goldsworthy given the run, and, you know.
Absolutely.
Ben Stokes is into his 7th over, by the way. This is Ben Stokes who wasn't going to bowl in this test match. So. What else have we got good on there? Announced this week, England Lions are playing South Africa on July the 12th. Now that is, I think, the second day of the Lancashire away game at Southport, which I think is beginning to look a bit like everybody's preferred away day for the season. So, yeah, I'm definitely going to try and make it. Steve, I presume it only being 10 minutes down the road from...
guess where I am in that week?
Oh.
And it's not Southport. And actually, I've got a very good client friend who is on the committee of Southport Cricket Club. So I could have basically killed it for 4 days. I'm going to be with Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck during that day. Would you believe?
Disneyland, getting another fridge magnet.
We've got a whole range to get, I imagine, this summer. But no, very bad timing. You could have predicted it, though.
Well, this is... all joking aside, this is what happens when the fixtures come out 2 months later than they should have done.
Yeah.
People, you can't wait forever to book your summer holiday, and then, it clashes with the game that I really, really wanted to go to. It's that for me. I'm on holiday the first home game of the season. I'm in Tenerife when we play Essex. Might have to do the podcast on the beach that week. As long as I got Wi-Fi, should be okay. But yeah, just utterly daft. So Southport away, is it Southport or Southport, isn't it? Yeah. I'm going to turn up at bloody Stockport, aren't I? I know exactly what's going to happen. But good to see the England Lions choosing Taunton for that game. We're probably going to have maybe Lewis, a one-day game, so Lewis, Gregory probably, maybe. Who else might we have in that? Banton, maybe. Abel, possibly. Oh, that would just put the icing on the bloody cake, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I don't think we'll lose many. There used to be, I think there's still that rule where England Lions teams, when they pick their squad, they can only pick 2 players from any one county. So shouldn't be too hard here. The other factor, speaking of England absentees, is there's that Netherlands ODI series, which is during the New Zealand Test series. So that's going to be non-Test players. So that we could lose Gregory, Banton, Abel, Overton to that. Any
Roll
combination
well.
of those guys. I guess.
He plays for the Netherlands. He's the Netherlands. Oh, of course, yeah.
Past your bedtime, Anthony.
Well, Roloff doesn't often miss. I'm sure county cricket often takes precedence over the Netherlands, but because it's against England, it kind of seems a bit silly if he doesn't go. Although I'm not sure Roloff was picked in Netherlands' last squad. They may have moved on from him after their T20 World Cup performance.
Can't understand that at all.
No, not gonna.
What else have we got on the agenda then? We've done that. We have a new T20 captain. And that's a few weeks ago. Tom Abel is taken over from Lewis Gregory, and I think we can all agree that's probably quite a good thing, isn't it? Getting the consistent leadership across both sides.
Yeah, and it will help Gregory's form hopefully as well. He's been pretty patchy in T20 the last couple of years, so good thing all round.
He's a good captain though, Lewis. He is a good captain. He captained England under 19s, and he's got the personality for it. So I just hope he doesn't put too much weight on Tom Abel's already overburdened shoulders. He does carry a very heavy burden in all sorts of different ways.
Yeah, but he carries it well, doesn't he?
He's sort of turning into that bloke every club has, isn't he?
Yeah,
where every club has the guy who prepares the pitch during the week, does the Colts nets. Yeah. He's always there in the winter decorating the pavilion and sorting everything out, and then plays on a Wednesday afternoon when they're one short as well. He's that Mr. Everything. But if there's anyone that's going to do it, Tom Abel's the person that can do it.
The amount of times as well, if you're watching a T20 game on Sky, they will refer to Tom Abel as the captain. Even though he's not captain in that game, Lewis Gregory's captain. I can remember Rob Key doing it. I'm sure it happened a few times during the quarter-final against Lancashire. I mean, essentially, he played a captain's knock without the armband on, didn't he, that game? But just carries that air of captaincy well, doesn't he? I think when you've got a captain as well respected and as good a captain as Tom Abel is, it just makes sense.
And do you think the flip works as well? That when you've got somebody who is the leader of the group, and then you're captaining the side and he's in the side, that could be quite challenging, I think.
Yeah, I just hope if Tom Abel gets big runs in the county championship in those first 6 games, England are looking for a new captain. They're also looking for some decent top order batsmen. Mm-hmm. If Tom Abel can, really fulfil his potential as a batsman, he would put himself. And this is not just several people have said this to me. Mm-hmm. What about Tom Abel as a future captain of England?
Well, Nasser Hussain mentioned it on the last Sky Cricket podcast.
He would be a superb captain, but he needs to justify his selection by weight of runs, and that's the challenge for Tom. I mean, it would be terrible for us in Somerset to lose
awful.
to England, but it would be wonderful for Tom. And he's a natural captain. He leads by example. He's a lovely bloke. And I'd love to see him captaining his country, but he's got to score the sort of runs that he scored in the first half of last season. If he can do that again, then he'll put himself right in the running.
Yeah, definitely. Can we just win the championship first? Then he can go off and do whatever he likes. Just let us win the championship first, for God's sake.
For that, yeah.
Oh, what else have we got? Loads going on. The 100 fixtures came out.
Oh, did they?
They did. And there's a fixture clash.
Oh no!
So Sunday the 7th of August, the Welsh Firemen are playing in Cardiff, and it is the West Country Derby up at Nevill Road, Gloucester versus Somerset in the Royal London One Day Cup.
The Seats Unique Stadium, actually.
Exactly.
The Seat Unique Stadium.
Yep.
It's Seat Unique. Is it Seat Unique or Seat Unique?
I think it is Seat. Yeah, I did double check that it wasn't the car.
Yeah, it's the people that do like the ticketing website software or something like that, isn't it? That's Seat Unique.
How romantic. How evocative. How historic.
Anyway,
I wonder what W.G. Grace thinks of that.
Well, if he's getting a wad of cash from Seat Unique, he's probably happy with it.
He's probably still on royalties.
Yes. Anyway, so at Nevill Road on Sunday the 7th of August, Gloucestershire versus Somerset in the Royal London One Day Cup. Welsh Firemen are playing in the 100 over the Severn Bridge, and I, for one, would be absolutely heartbroken if they were playing in front of one man and a dog in Cardiff, and Gloucester versus Somerset was packed to the rafters and absolutely bouncing, with people maybe singing songs about how they don't like the 100 after a few dozen Thatchers come 6 o'clock. But that's the plan. We're going to start a campaign. Me and Annie Chave probably, I don't know, going to get that out. But that's the plan, really. Make sure that game is sold out and have the Sky cameras showing a desolate, barren wasteland down at Sophia Gardens with tumbleweed blowing across the outfield, church bells echoing in the distance.
Yeah.
And real, vibrant, proper county cricket for proper cricket fans going on at the Seat Unique Stadium. Anyway, so yeah, we'll try and organise that as best we can. I've already come up with a few songs, which some may or may not have some quite industrial language in them. So I better come up with a PG versions of those, so we don't get chucked out of the ground. And I think I've exhausted the agenda. Apart from one thing. Oh, sorry, Dan, go on.
I was saying, is it just worth mentioning regarding the 100, but with relevance to Somerset? Obviously, the retentions were announced. So Overton, Lammonby, were retained by their teams. Waller, Banton, Baker, and Van der Merwe released. So obviously, Banton will be signed in the draft, but it might mean that we actually have Van der Merwe for the Royal London One Day Cup campaign. I'm not certain he'll be signed in the draft. Max Waller as well might. I reckon there's a good chance he won't be signed in the draft, particularly as he's been dropped from RT20. So he might be able for our Royal London campaign. So
that played a game for Southern Brave, did he?
He didn't, no. And it might be the case though that we do lose Goldsworthy this year, perhaps to the 100, which would be a shame because obviously he did brilliantly last year in the One Day Cup. But those performances might actually get him in, help to get him into the 100 this year. But I think with Siddle and Renshaw being available as well for the Royal London Cup, and with Rue and Thomas improving, we do actually have a pretty good side for that tournament.
Yeah, I'm just kind of. I've got my spreadsheet open with all the contract expiry dates and everything like that. Who expires this year? Let's have a look. Banton, Bartlett, Brooks, Davis, DeLange, Hildreth, Renshaw, Sale, Siddle, and Waller. Their contracts all expire this year. So there we go. And just got to mention about the. Have you seen those law changes which are coming into effect the 1st of October?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. That's going to confuse me watching games for about a year after that.
So I think the one about not being able to cross when the catch is taken is a really good one. I don't see why the bowler should be penalised for in taking a wicket and then have to bowl at the set batsman and the next one up. Seems to me very sensible change, that one.
Yeah, does make sense. And the other one was they're moving, running out the non-striker from unfair play just into run out, I think. So that's more of a cosmetic change. But yeah, it's one of those just anachronisms that I think they've kind of just gone, yeah, let's change it for some reason. They may change it back in a few years, I don't know. But, these people at the MCC Laws Committee have got to earn their salaries and their expenses and stuff like that, haven't they? So yeah. The only thing about when they publish these law changes, it does drag those people out of going, it's batsman, not batter. Batter is something you put on fish. Those people are going on the list, as far as I'm concerned. Women and girls play cricket. What is the issue of having gender-neutral language in the laws of the game?
It doesn't bother me.
No, I mean,
although I do, I'm afraid, sometimes use batsman rather than batter. It's a bit of a movable feast.
I mean, batter. If you're commentating on a men's game and you say batsman, anybody's going to bother with you?
If it's women, they'd be batters. But if it's blokes, I don't see what's wrong with batsmen.
Yeah, but when you're in the laws of the game and it applies to everybody, it's batter. And these people who just think they're being funny. Batter's what you fry fish with. Get on the list with Alex Wharf. I've forgotten who's on my list now. I meant to do the list. I meant to make a list and I forgot. Alex Wharf, Gareth Batty, Tom Curran, Ian Ward. There's a lot of Surrey guys on there. I don't know. Sort of South
That's
London.
Okay. Fine with me.
Keep them on there. And people who think that the word batter is somehow offensive. Right. You're on the list. Anything else on my list then? So we've got Dan getting the media into the I think we're done with everything that we started off to talk about. Do we have any other business?
Just remind everyone to tweet Peter Siddle this evening, please.
At P Sidley, at Peter Siddle 403. Oh, what's happening in the cricket? They've taken the score off. Doesn't it bother? It really bugs me when they're doing something in the cricket and they take the score off. I think they've gone off for rain or something. Was it lunch or tea?
No, they've had tea.
Delayed. It's come up on the ECB.
Right. They must have just gone off for rain. Right then. So I guess we'll get together. Well, after all these pre-season friendlies have taken place, we're going to have a better understanding of who's going to complete the top five.
Are you planning to go to any of the pre-season? We've got Glamorgan, Gloucestershire, Warwickshire.
Let me check the days.
It's 12 days' time, isn't it? The first one.
It's not long, is it?
How close it is.
21st.
21st. I've just got all my fixtures on my calendar, my Somerset calendar here. The 21st of March. So 12 days' time. Yeah, Glamorgan at home. So that's the kind of the net in the middle one, isn't it? The 2-day one. And then they've got Gloucester 3 days over 26th, 27th, the 28th. And then Warwickshire 1st to the 3rd of April. So, yeah. Good scheduling there. A few days of those on the weekend. So, yeah.
I might go down and watch a bit of the Gloucestershire game. It'll be very interesting.
Yep, I
fancy the Gloucesters this season. They've got a good side.
You can't say that. You can't keep supporting Gloucestershire.
I'm not supporting them. I'm just saying, watch out for them.
Yes, you can. Yeah, you can bet this is the season where Azhar Ali finally finds his feet in England and he scores buckets of bloody runs.
Is it Worcestershire?
Oh, was it Worcestershire? Who's at Gloucester?
Yeah.
Nassim Shah.
Marcus Harris.
Marcus Harris.
Marcus Harris has come from Leicestershire.
Oh, God.
Yeah.
We can't have the Gloucesters win it. Have the Gloucesters won it before?
No.
Yeah,
Well, they have, but
Yeah.
before it was officially instituted.
Oh, well,
Back in,
yeah.
Yeah, but they haven't won it since 1891, which is.
I think as Captain Mannering would say, I think you're getting into the realms of fantasy there, and I hope that doesn't come back to bite me.
Yeah.
But
I'll remind you of that, Mr. Tancock.
Okay, I'll have humble pie ready, but I don't think it'll be needed.
Yeah, hopefully two good tests before the season though, Warwickshire and Gloucestershire.
Mm. Yeah.
I've got a few more listeners' questions, so we're going to have to run through these quick. Alison writes, are you aware of the latest on the appointment of a batting coach? Well, they've advertised for it.
I had a look at the dates. The interviews were held on the 12th and 13th of January, or the initial interviews. So we must be close to knowing who it is who's got the job.
It's a bit late now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, it's not ideal. They've not really had the winter to work with them, isn't it? So, yeah.
I mean, it should be Marcus, really, shouldn't it? But
Dan should know, because the lucky candidate would have contacted Dan and said, "Can you get me a salary increase, please?"
Yeah, that's true. Are you out of the? Are you going to get a job with the PCA, Dan? You know, equal rights and all that sort of thing. Get all these salary increases and whatnot going on.
Yeah, it's easy, isn't it? Just send an email, put it on Twitter. Easy
Dear
job.
Gordon, I am very disappointed at the lack of free cider and my opportunities in the first 11 for Somerset this season. Yours, Ian Shepherd. Get me the team.
Maybe it's not that easy.
Maybe it's not that easy. Question from Simon about batting coaches. This is a good one. Do you think we'll start producing some better or more sporting surfaces now that the points deduction is done and dusted?
Well, I hope they're better pitches than they have been for the last couple of years, because they really haven't been very good at all.
And I'm not on a few occasions.
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I can't see them producing raging Turners in the back in the sort of mid-teens era, because we don't know how much Jack Leach is going to be available for us during the second half of the season anyway, and we haven't got Tom Bess. So and apart from Jack Leach, we haven't got a spin bowler, have we?
Roloff.
Oh, Roloff, yeah.
Got Roloff. When was the last Max
Renshaw
4-day game? Goldsworthy.
Yeah, but
that's the one thing we need to
admit,
find an off spinner from somewhere.
I sort of thought through the winter. I just wonder whether our chances of having Dom Best back have increased by what's been going on. That would have been nice, but I don't think it's going to happen.
No, he's very popular in Yorkshire anyway. They really like him up there.
No, I know.
Any more questions? Well, I think that's it. Not too many. Oh, just one from John as well. Should bonus points be given in both innings of county cricket?
No. Sorry, John. Sorry, John. No.
I mean, they're a bit of an anomaly, bonus points, aren't they? I suppose they're there to reward you for absolutely stuffing the opposition. But in theory, I don't know. It's always been a bit of an acronym.
They were introduced originally to encourage brighter cricket. That was the idea.
Yeah. A few years ago, Wisden did a thing where they basically put in a football style point system. They applied a football style point system to the county championship, and it basically changed barely any of the positions. So if you just did 3 points for a win and 1 point for a draw, it probably wouldn't really change much. But I think the one-time bonus points are useful is in rain-affected matches. That gave the Gloucestershire Somerset game at Bristol last year, that gave it a bit of context. It was quite fun, seeing us rack up to 350, 300, and then we got them 27 for 6 to get 2 bowling points. So that was good fun. But that's the
one of the best days of last season. That was.
It was. Yes, it was. You enjoyed yourself up there, Dan, didn't you? You had a great couple of days up there, Dan, didn't you?
I did get very lucky choosing that day. Yeah,
yes.
Was it? So,
let it go, Ian. Let it go now. It's
if you're not aware what I'm talking about, we didn't intentionally avoid each other, but I booked the first 2 days up at that game, the first game back after COVID regulations, and then Dan went to days 3 and 4 and watched Tom Abel score a glorious 100.
Just day 3.
Oh, just day 3. And then in the 2 days I planned to attend, I saw about 40 minutes play in the cold and wet. Anywho's. Any more, or should we knock it on the head?
That's good with me.
Great stuff. Right, well, we'll catch you next time then, everybody. If you want to give us a follow on Twitter, we're at Somerset Podcast. I think we're at Somerset Podcast and all the social medias. If you want to drop us an email, and please do, because nobody ever has, despite me mentioning it. I don't know what you want to email us about, but it's the Somerset Podcast at gmail.com. But for Steve, for Dan, and for Anthony, thanks for listening, and we'll catch up with you next time.